Hey there, I'm bouncing around on the vids. I was just on my main page doing a video about quiet, but I'm also having fun with thinking that this group, it's the yoga group, which I still save these videos usually and put them on my YouTube so people can get them there too, but this is the place to get into like what people it's the yoga group might really want to hear. So, and yeah, maybe even a little more edgy aspects of my learning and my understanding and these practices, these perspectives, this psychology that we get with something called yoga, right? And as I probably say every single time I talk about yoga, I can't talk about yoga without always saying that yoga just means union, to join, to connect, right? Right. You're getting that. Hopefully by being here in this group. And that really anything that reconnects you can be your yoga, right? So I love the awareness, this new awareness that I got in just all my growth and learning, and also in being even more connected to friends who are talking about magic, right? And creating magic. So like having this fun conversation with my friend, Stephanie Bradley, who I do retreats with sometimes and such. This awareness that with all these practices, especially when we really get into the idea that it's all energy, like really, right? Like our bodies are energy, our thoughts are energy, right? Our feelings are energy, everything in our lives are energy, our relationships are energy, it's all energy. And then when we really get into this idea, also, if we like that it's all connected, right? That's an important piece. And then if it's all even this divine life force, spiritual energy, right? So this understanding more of all of that. And then starting to really also own our power within that, right? And the truth of vibration and energy that undeniably we seem to transmit an energy, right? We seem to always be broadcasting. And even there's this truth that we attract more and more of whatever we're magnetizing. Like we're magnetizing, we're vibing out, and it's bringing things back into our lives and our awareness. And we start to really see that our embodiment is really what's creating it all. Like what energy we're in, what vibe we're in, what thoughts we're having, what words we're saying is sending out this like magical energy that is creating so much, if not at all. And definitely co-creating too, right? Co-creating with the universe, right? And other people, I'm sure. Co-creating with spirit, all those, co-creating with those aspects of ourselves, right? So really embracing all this awareness of the yoga, the union, especially as we get more into our own personal union, right? That we really can start to realize how powerful anything that we're doing with our time and our energy and our focus and our attention is, right? So we can get into like, wow, that means when I'm using any of these tools that we could call yoga, meditation, and such, I'm totally doing magic, right? Like, well, actually, we can realize that we're always creating magic, right? We just tend to call the magic the parts that we like, right? But that's where I love to remind, like, we'll talk about, I want to become a really good manifester, right? It's like, well, probably we're all always manifesting, right? So really what we mean is I want to become better at manifesting what I do want, right? Because we might have gotten really good at manifesting what we don't want. And maybe how does that happen? And this is from my own experience with my own self too. Maybe happens from when we're embodying the physiology even that goes with that vibe of maybe fear or worry, right? And how that feels in our bodies if we're worried about something. And if we're even using our minds to picture what we don't want, to think about what we don't want, thinking maybe we're like preparing and being smart, but actually, unfortunately, using the power of our mind and our imagination to focus, create, right? Something that we may not want at all. Sending out the vibration of worry and fear, right? Unfortunately, right? So probably, unfortunately, giving back more things that make us worried and fearful, right? So it is this embracing of the truth of that. And also maybe the spiritual aspects that the more that we're forgetting our connection, maybe the more that we're in that place of worry and fear, that probably means we're not as in tune at that moment with this idea of God, right? Or angels or universal support. So there's a disconnect as part of that, right? So if instead we play with the power of the opposites, right? Which is a yogi thing to do, really, to even once we become more aware, when we see that we are doing that, the worry, the fear, the sending out the vibe of what we don't want, right? The picturing what we don't want, using our magic that way, basically. Yeah, I didn't even realize I was going to say that in this video, but that's actually the truth, right? Like, so we're always using our magic, right? So it's actually just becoming aware and intentional with what we're doing with that magic power that we do have, right? And then getting better at using it, right? And maybe getting quicker with our using of it and more powerful, right? And amplifying it. But first of all, just being aware that we have that power, right? Which involves a level of like being willing to take responsibility for all that we're creating, right? Which is a piece that maybe not everybody wants to do or is ready for. But if we are ready to take responsibility for having created it all, perhaps, then we can start to then look at if we want something different, or if we want to really play with our magic in a way that works more for us, right? We can start to change that, right? And then we realize that with these practices, for instance, we're doing a lot to manage our energy, right? To, first of all, stay on top of how we're feeling, to just even do things to help us notice how we're feeling, so that if we are doing some of that, we can notice sooner, right? And stop and do something else. So the awareness is the hugest thing, right, that we get from all these practices. Just anything to help us keep checking in with how we're doing at this moment on all those realms, right? And how we're using our magic in this moment, right? How we're thinking, how we're feeling, how we're vibing, what our physiology is like. What's in the imagination, right? What words are we using, right? Because our word is our wand. I love that. So yeah, we can start to get excited about our magic and start to use it more. And then yeah, I'm just such a fan of the daily approach. Really works for me to build in ways daily that I'm tuning myself, tuning in to how I'm doing, tuning up my vibe, right? Tuning up my focus, tuning up all of it, right? Tuning up how I'm using my imagination, tuning up what's happening in my mind, tuning up how I'm using my words, tuning up my actual energy in my body and how I'm holding it, so that I'm vibing more like I want to be vibing, right? So I'm so aware more than ever that all my practices help me do that each day. And why more than ever that's so freaking important, right? But then it's like, I'm starting to get even more weird and playful with my practices now, because it's, as you start to really like realize you're like casting a spell with your practices, right? And you're like doing these powerful things that you can like put intention to, right? If you're using your body, for instance. So yeah, it could make the mat practice this whole new powerful like energy dance, right? It can make all of it though, that. The use of the mudras, right, can become, you start to realize, holy shit, these are like magic tools, these mudras, right? The use of the words, I'm starting to do that a lot more out loud, even almost as if I'm aware that I'm casting a spell with my words when I use them, right? And actually doing that and casting the spell that I do want. And even the multitask, like in a pose, right? Like with, I am filled with light and love, right? As a way I can use my words would be an example. Keeping an eye more, imagination is huge, and playing with that more. And really even just the simplest, like playing with how I'm feeling in this moment, relaxing a lot more, right? Softening is a really interesting idea to me. In my body, it's pretty different than the way I might have been holding myself in the past. I don't know about you. And it is interesting that a lot of spiritual traditions, I've been listening to the Tao Te Ching lately, which is like, oh my God, amazing. And actually the most feminine of all the traditions, it turns out. But it talks a lot about this idea of softness as a way of being more that actually makes sense more for this world and reality. So I find just freaking softening my body in this moment and playing with this idea of softness. A sigh helps. Laughing helps. Smiling helps. Breathing helps. Right? But knowing that's totally changing my physiology and my vibe, the more that I can just get myself in that physiology more and more. So I'm just cruising around a lot more relaxed, right? And at ease and in just a better feeling vibe even, right? So yeah, so I just want to get us even more excited about the magic, literally the magic of these practices, the magic that we are, right? And that this is about our starting to use our magic in a way that we like, basically, right? That we're all magical. We're all creating things magically, right? We can call it magic or not, but, and then there is a momentum to it too, that I find the more that we're doing things each day to stay on top of our vibe, to manage our energy, to keep shedding other people's energy, to keep letting go of old trauma, to keep going in deeper with our belief systems and just finding our ways to keep getting clearer with how we're using the mind, right? And the focus and the attention and the awareness. And even a lot of these practices help us tune in more to our desires, which I love to see more than ever is such a spiritual thing, because we could get into the like our desires are coming from our heart, our soul, our true self, our true purpose, right? And the things that we feel passionate about are part of who we are and like even why we're here. So, and then often though, we may not even be aware of what we're passionate about or what is that for us. So doing more of these things can help us just start to even become more aware of that, right? And then it does become like about following those desires, right? That's part of the magic and believing that we could move towards them. But yeah, and like that's with any realm, whether it's with our health or our relationships or our work lives, right? Or our sense of abundance or whatever it is that, yeah, we can get really funky groovy and really get into how we understand our practices are a magic tool that's helping us harness our magic, use our magic, and play with it, right? For our good and the good of the planet. How exciting is that to think of more of us getting in tune with our like natural powers, right? And just being aware that we have them, look at how we have been using them, and re-choose, should we choose to, right? So anyways, I hope this is helpful to you, and I am here if you need any more ideas with tools to help you tune you, right? And get even more magical with how you're using some of this stuff, because it is pretty powerful and awesome, right? And we can like always be growing our practices. I'm always adding new things, trying new things, and sticking with the things that have worked. So anyways, love you guys. Thanks so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Namaste.